Okay. County Council enacted 3 pending ordinances. One was on the densities throughout the county. We have a number of zones that allow base density, then some type of bonus density for performance. And the direction from the council was, let's look at all those, let's take density out, let's take as much arbitrary nature to approval of additional densities out as we can, and simplify the code as much as possible. The other one was to take in the Jordan Basin Overlay Zone and the J-Spot, Jordan Special Planned Area, to remove the no count towards density commercial designation that we have currently. This last one was the affordable housing ordinance that I'll need to bring back to you at a future date. So we're focusing on the first 2. So as I mentioned, this was kind of a reaction from the county council after reviewing a number of projects where there was density bonuses requested, and they went through long lists of tree caliper sizes and park strip widths and fencing materials and all types of things to get to a density bonus. So as I said, the direction was to simplify the code, allow fewer density bonus options and lower densities, make density bonuses, if any, less discretionary. All zoning districts that allow bonus density, which is RA1, Residential Agricultural 1 Acre Zone, Mountain Zone, Strawberry Recreation Overlay Zone, North Village Overlay Zone, and Jordan Specially Planned Area, and the Transitional Residential Overlay Zone. All allow density bonuses. They also directed us to adopt a standard for more rural roads, rather than have curb, gutter, sidewalk, park strip on all the roads in the county. And this isn't in our code, but we're working on it. Swales, maybe a trail on one side, and not the urban type scenario I just described. So just to explain where these various zones are, so you have it in your mind as I go through the proposal. This is the zoning map of the county. This line matches down here, so this is Strawberry, Highway 40 through. Ebersidian white. And you've got the east end of the valley, which is all RA1. RA1 adjacent to Midway City. You've got the North Village Overlay Zone right here, with the college right about in here. Jordan Basin Overlay Zone, which is all this. The J-Spa, which is the stuff around Mayflower Interchange, both sides of Highway 40. And the mountain zones, which are Brighton Estates area and Timber Lakes area. One thing I want to point out while I have this map up is the mountain zone currently allows for a planned performance development where you can get a huge amount of density by providing additional trails or open space or whatever the case may be, amenities. If you look at both these mountain zone areas, they're on dead-end roads. They're seasonally maintained. So currently we're encouraging additional development in this area around Brighton Estates and these areas around Timber Lakes, and you have no year-round second access, which is contrary to our general plan and our code. So the last one is the Strawberry Recreation Zone out here. This purple area is the Strawberry Highlands development, which is 7,000 acres. This commission saw their final plats probably 4 or 5 months ago. So this is a vested project. Anything recommended for approval tonight, or this could be continued, whatever the case may be, but none of this would affect any vested projects. We're only talking about projects that would come in and apply under the new code. I wanted to point this out. so you know in the North Village what has vested rights. River Meadows Ranch is not in the North Village, but all the rest of these projects are, and they're all vested with the density. Jordanelle Ridge, which was on the agenda tonight for continued item number 2, is this property right here up to the ridge, which has 1,688 ERUs granted on it. As you know, the proposal would be to move 700 of those up onto the top of the mountain in JPOZ. But like I said, this wouldn't affect any of those vested density rights. The code more focuses on the RA1 zone because as you look at the east end of the valley, there's a lot of undeveloped ground out there. You can see from the aerial that there's still quite a few farms. And so I think the intent was, at least my intent was, is to lower densities as much as we could out there. So just a summary of what's proposed to be changed is in the RA1 zone, all the density bonus options would be removed. The base density of 1 unit for every 1.3 acres would be basically all you get. In between Heber City and the boundary, let me flip to this graphic here. So what we're proposing is, here's Mill Road. Heber City's boundary typically runs up to Mill Road. So anywhere between Mill Road and 2400 East, you would have the 1.3 acres per every unit. But in this area next to the city, a developer would have the option to do as small as 3rd-acre lots, but that density would remain the same. So if they decided to cluster 3rd-acre lots or larger, then they would have the rest of that in open space. As you move away from the city center up to 2400 East, minimum lot size is 1/2 acre. Again, they'd have some open space if they decided to cluster. Our thought was that the developer would have the option. They could do acre lots here, and have animal rights, or they could cluster. But we didn't want to force them to have an HOA if they didn't want to go that route. So it gives them some flexibility, but it maintains the densities at 1 unit per 1/3 for every 1.3 acres. So you go 1/2 acre here up to 3600 East. Beyond 3600 East, it's 1 acre lots, and they would have animal rights up there. Part of our concern was parks, regional parks in the area. And so our discussion was that we probably need to update the park impact fee, which hasn't been done since it was 2007, and it was low when it was adopted then. Because we do need some regional parks, and I'll show you that in a minute. So, the transitional residential overlay zone. That is the area within Heber's annexation declaration boundary and Midway City's annexation declaration area. Our code currently allows for a density of up to 1.5 units per acre. So it's intended to be a transition between city densities to county densities. We're proposing to remove that completely. And so everything in the RA1 would be 1 unit per 1.3 acres. The third item there is planned performance developments. They're proposed to be completely done away with. So the zones that allow planned performance developments are the mountain zone, transitional residential overlay zone, and the strawberry recreational overlay zone. So that's proposed to be done away with. The mountain zone will then go to a base density of 1 per 20. Currently, if you got all your density bonus, you could do 1 for every 2.35 acres. So that's a huge change. It takes the arbitrary nature out of our hands and out of the council's hands and out of your hands, and it just says it's a base density. Then we don't have the problem with incentivizing density up here where there's no secondary access. What else? Oh, the Strawberry Recreation Overlay Zone. Would not impact the vested development up here, but anyone else up there that owns private ground could not utilize that plan performance section of the code. It'd be 1 per 160 up there, which is what it's zoned. This green zoning is 1 unit for 160 acres.
And that was what the Fitzgeralds were trying to do, is rezone that, wasn't it, back a few months ago?
Yeah, they were trying to rezone a portion of theirs to highway commercial. They've talked in the past, and they have about, I don't know, 8,000 acres up there or something like that. They've talked about coming in for something like that. This would not allow that.
They just have to be the 160.
160, yeah.
Good deal.
North Village Overlay Zone. In the North Village, which is the area between Coyote Lane and Highway 32, you have densities that are higher along Highway 40 and transition to lower densities as you move up the hillside. So, for example, in the town core area, which is the highest zoning designation along Highway 40, the density is between 6 and 12 equivalent residential units. And an equivalent residential unit is by square footage. So, for example, if you had a 500 square foot hotel room, that's half an ERU. So, if you've got 12 ERUs in that town core zone, as I explained in the work meeting, you could be as high as 36 units per acre. If you could park it, landscape it, meet height requirements. So the proposal here is to cut all those back to base density. So that town core would not have the option to go up to 12. It would be limited at 6. And same with every other zone as you move up to the hillside.
That would give you about 24 units to 36.
Well, if you were at, half 500 square feet, you could be up to 18 to 24 units per acre, which is still quite a bit.
Oh, that is, that's quite a lot.
Those apartments that are up there now are probably at about 24, 28 units per acre. Jordan Basin Overlay Zone right now has a sliding scale. It goes from like 2.5 to 3.5 ERUs per acre. This would take that sliding scale out, so you just have a set number. And it's always been difficult to me because there's really no performance base for that increased density. So obviously a developer just comes and says, I'm at 3.5 units per acre. And there's really no way we have to say that you can't do that if you meet all the other code sections. So that's proposed to be taken out. The JSPA code, as I mentioned, would have the free no-count commercial taken out. Also, they have a 15% density bonus for performance. That's taken out as well. So that in a nutshell is what we're proposing to do. And again, on the east end of the valley is kind of where we focus because, for example, on a 100-acre piece of property with 1 unit for every 1.3 acres, you're at 77 lots versus 100. Maybe doesn't seem like much, but throughout that whole east end of the valley, it'll make a difference. Just seeing if again, here's the North Village Overlay Zone. So you've got the village center at 6 to 12, town core at 6 to 12. All these would go to their base densities of 2, 3, 4, and 6. I think this is the last, one other thing I want to talk about. We do not have we've got an element of our general plan for parks and recreation, but it does not have a map in it. And so, in working with Tom Bonner, our Parks and Recreation Director, I asked him to provide some map that shows what he anticipates having down the road as far as regional parks. Now, Tom is only interested in having programmed space. So places he can have baseball tournaments, soccer practices, that type of thing. So he came back with this map and said, you know what, here's the complex now that we have. He's got the dates here, 2018 to 2027, 2028 through 2037, and general areas where he anticipates seeing some parks. I do not have that written in the code right now, and I'd look to the Planning Commission to make a recommendation on that. But if a developer came in and had, 100 acres right here in this general area and said, I can donate 10 acres with water for a future park, then my intent would be, if directed to by the Council and Planning Commission, to write into the code that they could get a density bonus of up to 1 unit per acre net. So for example, if they had 100 acres, donate 10 acres to the county, we would calculate their 1 unit per acre on the whole 100 acres, although they put that on 90 acres. Does that make sense? And if that park didn't need to be put into the program for another 10, 15 years, then we'd have the water, and I guess we'd just lease it to farm for that time.
On the water then, would it follow the ground continually then? So Tom builds a park in there, does that water stay with that park, or at that point in time, does Tom have enough water he brings over and
I guess that would
stay with the ground.
stays with, that's good then, stays with the ground.
Maybe there'd be some excess water, I don't know.
Yeah, so that was my point, that it stayed with the ground. Because I didn't know if it would leave when the park developed, but it would follow the ground. Okay. And I think that's important, because like you say, it might be 10 years before they got in there, and so they could farm it 10 acres with the water.
And I didn't include that in the way the code's written now, so I'm looking for some direction there and some direction from the council. The other thing that our attorney actually caught is there's a section of the code that talks about the lot sizes on the east end of the valley as you move away from Weaver City, but doesn't really address clearly the RA1 zones around Midway City and what those lot sizes would be. So our attorney has stated that maybe those ought to just be 1 acre lots to take that discretionary part of out of the code for staff and planning commission and council. So anything along Midway's borders, which really I think we're going to come back and propose they be zoned to RA5 because we don't have any sewer option there or water system option there. They really need to annex into the city. So I think we'll probably be seeing proposals to take those to RA5 soon. So that's the only change there. And as I mentioned, we had a discussion about the parks. The other discussion we talked about in the work meeting was that initially we talked about having a density bonus option anywhere if they would pay a fee in lieu, and that fee in lieu would be determined by an appraisal at the base density and an appraisal at the bonus density, and the difference would be the fee in lieu. As we look more at that and having the need to determine density bonuses in the J-Spa, the North Village, all those areas, it seemed like it got a bit cumbersome to me. So we took that out. I think we talked about it last month. I wasn't here, but I think we talked about it last month at the Planning Commission. This is the direction we went, just to keep it simple and at base density. I think that's it. Any questions?
I like what you're doing there, Doug. It sets a map and a plan. If a developer comes in, they know that you're getting one acre. You can cluster it in that first zone below 2,400. Compared to what it is now, they can come in and ask for those bonus densities if they do the amenities and stuff. So I think, I'm glad to see them tackle this time and get back on track with things. I think it's a good time to do it. So that was my comments on it. Any other questions for Doug or comment? Go ahead, Lynn.
Yes, my experience has been that density bonus is very staff intensive. I don't think the county has enough staff to get this work. Put these requirements out there, the way to get the density bonuses, and then you end up having to go through a real rigorous type of analysis to try to make that work. Any kind of language is a little bit different. The two parties don't agree on. There's always an argument about those. And it's not just approving it for the project itself, but from approval through construction, through acceptance. It's trying to get those other things that you've asked for. It's really difficult.
This pending ordinance from January 18th, so is this retroactive to January 18th?
What it means is anybody that would have submitted from January till now would have to be under this new code. Yeah. We haven't had any applications yet. Let me point out, though, that Steve Farrell, the committee that was formed by the council was Commissioner Farrell, Commissioner Park, and Commissioner Good. Mr. Farrell was on that committee. I don't know if he has any input that he'd like to make or not.
Other than the need, we see the need to get rid of the subjectivity of it, the bonus densities. It would just create a problem for us.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's been well done. It's on the right track. I'm glad to see him tackle it now. It's too bad we didn't tackle it a few years ago, but at least we're tackling it now, getting there. And I like the way you're proceeding in it. So, any other questions for Doug? Go ahead.
Actually, for anybody. So I look at this as kind of a three-part question. This is just the way I've broken it down. One is the density, the notion of eliminating density bonuses. And my personal view is I like the way you approach that. The other is this sort of the two other items that are up here, which is the fee issue, which, based on our other discussions, I think needs a more comprehensive discussion, right? I mean, I think I'm under the impression these fees are low currently.
You mean the impact fee, Parks impact fee?
Well, is it just parks that we're talking about now?
Well, there's two fees.
Well, there are two, right. There's the impact fee, which should generate some revenue to mitigate the impact and provide amenities, and then there's fee in lieu in order to get a density bonus.
Right.
Okay. So when we talk about reducing the opportunities for density bonuses, are we talking about eliminating fee in lieu as well?
That's where I'm heading. And the reason I'm heading there is because we have the two appraisals, the determination by the council on whether it was that 100% of that appraisal difference or 50%. But then not only do we have to do that, we have to spread that out in every single zone and say, in the North Village, if you do the fee in lieu, it's a 30% density bonus or whatever it is. Likewise with every other zone in the county.
Okay, so is that what we're acting on tonight as well?
If you agree with that. Now, like I said, the staff perspective is that we're going away from the density bonus and the fee in lieu.
Right.
If you agree with that, fine. If you want us to look into it more, fine. That's fine too.
For what it's worth, my view is if we eliminate it, that's one thing that we don't have to talk about anymore. We're going to keep a fee in lieu. My view is that needs some discussion. Because then you have a discussion about, are we trying to generate funds through fee in lieu opportunities? And if we are, how do we optimize the revenue from all these fee and lieu? And then you've got to balance the amount and getting more people to pay it, lower it so more people pay it, or you raise it and try. There's a complicated discussion on fee and lieu that I don't know that we fully have.
Right.
If you're talking about dropping it, we don't need to have it. We don't need to spend any time on it. The other thing is on the parks, and this applies to the whole thing. If we go the direction that you're proposing, is there anything that prevents us from revisiting it when somebody comes in and says, hey, I got 100 acres or out here, I'll give you 10 if you give me the same density I would get on my 100, and on a case-by-case evaluating it.
Well, I think.
So if we set the standard, the default standard as proposed, and then say, well, let's visit it when we have an opportunity to visit it.
Well, there's some moving pieces here. One is that map I showed you showing the park locations has not been adopted. That was an example I got from the Parks Department. That will have to go through a public hearing with you and the council to amend the general plan and insert that as a general plan map. I would also have to add a section to the code that would say, in compliance with that general plan map, if you donate enough property for a regional park, then you can get that 1-for-1
Okay. So we don't have to nail that down tonight and send it to nor does necessarily the county council have to nail it down in their next meeting.
Well, my hope was that you would either send it forward or say we want to discuss this more, but if you send it forward, then it would be with a recommendation on, do we go forward with the Parks Master Plan? Do we go forward with the fee and lieu, or do we say, let's just keep it simple and go that route?
Okay.
Council can give me direction to do anything between that stuff, so.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Go ahead, William.
So the county does not have a parks and trails master plan.
We have a trails master plan. We have a parks element of our general plan, but the general plan for parks does not have a map that shows where those regional parks are intended to be.
Because the impact fee law requires that you have a capital facilities.
We do have a capital facility plan for parks, but it needs updating.
But that's typically based upon a master plan.